All right, so in the next section, I'm going to go into the product overview and into more details about what Nirmata does. And I'll also talk a little bit more about the types of customers that we are seeing. So first off, before going into the product slides itself, I want to share a few insights that we've reached in our journey and as we've engaged with various customers. So first off, we've learned that in an enterprise, there always will be a dev and an ops. So there's no mythical super developer who can take over all of operations and do it all. And even if there is, that's not the most optimal way to organize, right? So we kind of recognize that there is these two roles, and these two roles are extremely important. And what we also learned, working with our customers, is that for a product to be successful, not only do you have to recognize that there's these two roles, but you have to empower both roles. So developers want the container native agility, they want the rapid cycles, they want the self-service, but operators need more visibility and more control. And that's where we've seen that initially there might be some hesitance to kind of adopting some of these new ways of doing things. But as we have engaged with teams, as we have shown how Nirmata integrates into their existing solutions, being able to get even more visibility and control than they were through previous solutions is what's really exciting to even the ops teams. So it's about recognizing these two roles and then empowering them to be able to do their jobs effectively.
Jim, sorry, can I just ask a question about DevOps quickly? DevOps isn't a tool, a product, something that you can buy, something that you can own. Any company, I suppose, doing anything with developers and operations is going to say they're going to be great at DevOps. Right. What is it that what's your particular, even in a sentence or two, what does your solution provide that could be different from other people use with a whole suite of tools they already have?
Yeah, so first off, we don't emphasize one role over the other. We recognize that both roles are important and need to come together in a common manner. So the constructs that we have in Nirmata, as you'll see in the demo, the dev and the ops, they almost have a contract through policies in Nirmata. And that's what we allow an easy definition for, and easy sharing, and a separation of concerns. So developers can focus on their application definition in an agnostic manner, while operators can focus on what the ops team can focus on, defining policies for infrastructure, cloud usage, as well as the governance that's required in enterprises. So it's kind of recognizing these two sides, separating the concerns, but yet unifying them through the policies, the contracts that we've built.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think I'm not quite getting it yet, because I suppose we're waiting for the actual product overview, and then that'll help to maybe piece it all together.
Yeah, and we'll see this in the demo, and we do have these roles. So there is role-based access control, of course, in the product, and if you log in with the platform role, you get visibility into cloud providers, into the host view of what's going on. But if you're an application developer, you see your environments, your application. So it's that separation and that packaging really that we've built, and we'll see that in the demo. So the other thing which was very interesting to us and something we learned along the way, that DevOps is not just for product teams. And we're seeing, whether it's IT teams, whether it's mid-enterprises, we're seeing teams of all shapes and sizes trying to embrace DevOps for agility, for portability, for improved efficiencies across clouds, right? And there, we roughly kind of see two categories of users. One is teams that are looking at taking either third-party or installed applications and being able to package these in tools like containers and being able to gain efficiencies for them. So, for example, whether it's life-ray portals, content management systems, other low-code type of systems that today might be running on private servers, on virtualized on VMs. These can be now containerized, can be ported to cloud, and there's significant efficiencies through automation that can be achieved for these, even if it's just to get quick, rapid environments. One case study, one customer we engaged with, initially we just started with their WordPress sites. It was a school district managing WordPress sites for over 10 schools. And they had a single site which they wanted to now containerize, be able to set up a deployment pipeline for this. And we were able to do this with Azure as well as vSphere across clouds. The other category of customers is more product teams, engineering teams that are building their own solutions as part of their business offering itself. So these teams have a higher pain tolerance. They want something which is highly scalable, more where they want to minimize their lock-in at their application layer especially. But they're open to other tools and technologies which they want to embrace so that their application is scalable and can be deployed and managed rapidly across multiple clouds. And in the first category, it's more that we're seeing that the requirements are the solution has to be hassle-free or turnkey, very easy to use, and that's where the SaaS model that we have built with Nirmata applies very well. So going into the product itself, so I'm first going to introduce the 3 layers that we address in the product, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's in each layer. So first off, our focus is application delivery management, like we talked about up front. And to do that, to achieve that, we integrate with cloud providers, with public and private cloud providers. There, we have also built application-centric infrastructure. So based on the intent of the application, being able to provision and manage infrastructure in a seamless manner. And the philosophy we have taken there is we don't hide anything at the infrastructure layer, but we provide common interfaces, common constructs that we can use across any cloud provider. And today, the packaging, the dominant packaging we see for applications is containers. We believe are the best way to package applications moving forward. So in terms of container orchestration and scheduling, we offer our own, which is a SaaS-based orchestration scheduling. It also comes with built-in microservices tooling for service discovery, service registration, et cetera. And we are also announcing the Kubernetes-based offer, which we'll detail and go into and explain what we're doing over there.
Could you get into some of those details? Because container
Absolutely.
And scheduling, this is a thing that is known about, and there are other people who are trying to do the same.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm really interested to understand how you guys do it specifically,
right,
so that we can understand what makes your approach.
Yes, great point, right? So what we have natively in Nirmata is a SaaS-based control plane. So much like in SDN, if you will, the whole philosophy was keeping the data plane on premises, but moving the control plane, the management plane into cloud-based systems. The approach we took in Nirmata for our scheduling, for our controller, it's completely cloud-based, right? So this, for that first category of customers, this was perfect. It's extremely easy. They drop in agents.
So when you say that it's the control plane for what?
For application management. So more and more we're seeing this need for being able to control, orchestrate, manage applications, running in containers being the standard unit, through this what we're calling the control plane.
Okay, I'm not quite clear on exactly what that is, so hopefully you'll be able to get to that and show
Okay,
so demonstrate what it is. I think we might be able to understand that.
Yeah,
a bit more concrete.
Absolutely. So some simple use cases there are, of course, the initial is taking a deployment spec or a blueprint and being able to deploy the application on any particular cloud. That may involve provisioning of hosts. That could involve provisioning of network storage. So something has to orchestrate and manage all of that, right?
So this is like a Bitnami type marketplace, automate the deployment of applications.
Right. So you're defining your application in a generic manner, and then you're able to deploy this on whether it's Azure, AWS, et cetera. Once the application is deployed, operating and managing it needs real time. There's a feedback loop. So collecting data from the application and reacting to changes. So if a host goes down, if a new version is released, if a load balancer is having some problems or a flood of requests, something needs to react to that and adapt accordingly. So that's what we think of as the control plane, what's observing, watching, and changing the application characteristics to adapt to what's going on in the environment.
I just want to address like the Bitnami example, right? So Bitnami is more for packaged applications that are, traditionally packaged in VMs. They're obviously now moving on to containers. Our focus, as Jim mentioned, in terms of the customer segments, really these are product development teams, and the applications are kind of they're living, they're in some cases delivered as a service. So in potentially combination multiple services. So it's really that ongoing operations, releasing, upgrading, scaling up, scaling down, all of that for these kind of applications. And that's more geared towards product teams that are delivering these applications, which is not something that somebody like Bitnami would address.
So is the target customer for this a company that is delivering an application service, not the enterprise so much? Like, I'm just thinking traditional company, right, where I might work and have a job and our employees need tools. So is it that, or is it, you gave the example of I think it was a cable company. Right. Do they have to be delivering a service to appreciate this?
Yeah, so the early customers who are adopting technologies like microservices, containers, are in that camp. They're building software, either taking existing software and making it cloud-enabled, or they're building net new cloud-based services, right? So SaaS offerings. What we're also seeing, though, and this is a very interesting trend, in fact, the 2017 Puppet Labs State of DevOps report mentioned this, that DevOps is not just happening in those product teams. It's also happening in IT teams. So even if an IT team is doing document systems or content management, they want versioning, they want control, they want rapid environments. So these DevOps best practices are getting tremendous agility, tremendous value to these IT teams. Just recently, we had a conversation with a Silicon Valley company. They have Siebel systems deployed in their private cloud, and they're just, every time they need to stand up an environment, it takes them 20 plus days to do that. So they're looking at containers, they're looking at tools like Nirmata to help speed that up and get them agility to say, in a few minutes, I want to get my application, my environment up and running. It may be just for dev tests. Maybe in production, I'll continue doing the things the way I was always doing it. But at least in dev tests, when I request a new environment, I can get that rapidly, seamlessly, and in an error-free manner.
So obviously, I think we all understand that containers at scale is an enormous management problem. You've got thousands of containers across a number of applications. I see your initial differentiator is you're a cloud-based SaaS management platform. So people would connect to your software to manage containers across multiple clouds. So whether it's Azure or AWS or on-prem, and that would be different from what you're going to do. People can obviously set up their own Kubernetes clusters, their own Docker Swarm clusters, and do that themselves. But they're going to be then managing those all around the different clouds. You can manage that individually. I think maybe the missing piece is how managing applications at scale, managing containers at scale is tied to the applications. Right. Now, we obviously understand that applications are part of containers.
Right.
How does Nirmata create the concept of an application as a whole set of containers? Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what is a bit more concrete to understand.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll definitely dive into this very aspect. We'll show how applications are modeled, both natively in Nirmata as well as
so the fact that you use how applications are modeled, I think that's probably what would be interesting to see, and that would tie what an application in Nirmata land looks like.
Okay. Yeah, and that's where, so if you look at the boxes in the top layer, right? So we start with application modeling. We integrate into CI/CD tools like Jenkins and others as needed. But beyond just deploying the applications, it's the monitoring, it's the management, being able to troubleshoot, being able to update in a seamless fashion on any public or private cloud. That's where some of the differentiators are. And then acting on the infrastructure as needed. So being able to, say for example, if you have a request for a new environment, recognizing that requires more capacity and spinning up hosts in the right cloud provider. Those type of workflows are what we do.